Gangstas. I have been called out of my retirement. I legit was trying to retire from this. So I've been pulled out. The universe was like, you need to give a message immediately. I had like 3 different people telling me I need a reading, and I was like, all right. Like, I've been, trying to kind of pass the torch a little bit. Like, there's other readers, there's other, but the universe is like, you dog, you're coming out. I just had to do my little dark night of the soul shit, and it required me to kind of go within, and, but here we are. I'm back. So, right now, the moon is at 97.9% illumination in the sign of Capricorn. Headed towards the full moon in Aquarius tomorrow. I'm at home. I'm chilling, right? And I recommend that we all try to be at home and chilling, at least for tomorrow and maybe the day after. But if you cannot, if you must be out and about, just letting you know, the full moon's out, people are going to be wily. Especially people who are facing some karmic repercussions, right? Because Saturn has gone retrograde yesterday, right? And we're just coming out of Mercury retrograde. And so we're still kind of feeling that a little bit. So there's a lot that we're processing as a collective, right? There's a lot that we are undergoing as a collective, right? So let's see what you need to hear at this time. Because definitely, it's something, because I literally got off work and I was chilling. I was ready to read a book and go to sleep. And then it just, the call was so loud and it was just pulling me. So you need this, whatever the hell it is. Let's see. You could be processing some past life karma right now. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Karmic debt is actually very unbiased. It's not good nor bad. It is cause and effect, right? And it's all based on our dharma. And if we're living true to our dharma is our true nature, right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, they have like this really good analogy or metaphor for dharma, and I'll explain that. So basically, in the Bhagavad Gita, he says there's this man and he sees this scorpion fall into water and it's drowning, right? And he goes to grab it and the scorpion stings him and he's like, ah, fuck. And he goes back, I'm paraphrasing. They didn't say, oh, fuck, in the story. But then he goes and grabs it again, gets stung again. But then he goes to grab it a third time, and his friend's like, dude, what are you doing? It's just going to keep stinging you. And he says, well, it is the scorpion's dharma. It is its nature to sting me. But it is human nature to save, right? To save it. So that's why it was the man's dharma to continue trying to save the scorpion, even though the scorpion's dharma was to continue trying to sting the man, right? So I feel like right now you're processing, you're getting in touch with your dharma, right? And the closer that we live aligned with our personal dharma, all right, our true nature, without the ego influence and all that bullshit, when we're aligned with our true dharma, our karma is positive, right? When we are misaligned with our dharma, right? When we go outside of our nature, when we're seeking external desires, when we are going through addiction, or like utilizing sex as a vice or things like that, right? Things that are outside of our dharma, that's when we start feeling misaligned. Things get a little jumbly, and that's when karma feels more negative, right? And it's not necessarily that you did anything bad to anyone or anything. It is that you are misaligned, right? And in order to get you back into alignment, you have to face certain karmic repercussions, right? And that's to bring you back to your dharma, right? It's to bring you back to you. So there's no such thing as bad or good in terms of karma, right? And so we're gonna dive into that. I don't know what your karma is right now. I'm just giving you this so you know. When I say karma is being dished out, I'm not saying, oh, you're fucked up, and I'm not saying that you did good either. I don't know. Okay, we're finding that out. But we have Ouroboros. Ouroboros, right? It's a snake eating itself, right? Very Ragnarok energy. And if you see, they're almost like a fetus, right? They've got the umbilical cord. And this is like being birthed through chaos, right? Because Ouroboros represents chaos, the snake eating itself. And they are kind of gestating in it, right? And this could also be representative of you as a person. You might have come from a rough past, right? You might have been created through chaos in some way, right? Like maybe there was abuse, maybe there was some trauma, maybe there were some things which we will dive into. But and maybe it's not even childhood shit. This could be adult shit, right? Or maybe it's bullshit. I don't know. But it's like through this, you are growing into your truest self, right? Through whatever chaos has ensued around you, you are coming to your truest self. I'm really I don't know if I want to use my Golden Girls deck or my Dragon deck. I kind of feel like I'm called to the Dragon deck. Because I want to dive into this story and kind of see how we can guide you along the way. Alright? How we can help you to get in touch with your truest, innermost Dharma. And yes, I know vaping's bad, but such is life. You gotta quit one vice at a time. And believe me, I've been sacrificing most of them, except for vaping. Let's see. Doop, doop, doop. Tap it up, tap. This is a new deck, so it's a little crispy. I gotta break it in. My hands are so small. So I'm seeing a very fiery new beginning for you. There's a lot of fiery energy just right off the bat. Both wands, right? Wands is fire. You could be a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, or just sitting in this fiery, very passionate energy. You yourself could be a very passionate person. We have Ace of Wands, right? Ace of Wands is like a creative, passionate, new endeavor, right? This is a new beginning, right? We're ending a cycle. And then we have Eight of Wands, right? Something's moving very quickly for you. Feeling that we got the Pegasus here. Pegasus shows up in Hercules' story when he is challenged to like defeat some of the greatest beasts in all of Grecian history, right? When he has to hold up the heavens for Atlas, when he's defeating Cerberus, you know, when he has to go to Hades, you know, and challenge him, and you know, so Pegasus shows up during times of great challenge. Right? Great challenge is where we build the best character. Character development. You can't have a hero story without it, right? And so right here, I feel like there's divine guidance with this Eight of Wands, right? Like I feel like you're being pulled in the right direction intuitively. You just gotta listen to it. Something's moving very quickly. There could be divine intervention that's moved very quickly. Perhaps to clear the way for this new beginning, this new endeavor. Let's get more information on that. Yeah, divine intervention is like really screaming at me. I feel like you have experienced that. Perhaps certain things came to a very abrupt halt, or you felt like you were met with some blockages. Okay, first of all, the whole deck decided to just run away. Run away. I got all of them. I'm gonna keep the two that fell on the ground, but I'm gonna reshuffle these. Yeah. Now, if there was a divine intervention, you could have been met with some blockages, some challenges. Perhaps you veered, right? Perhaps you were on a good path and then something like caused you to kind of go astray, right? Oh, yep. Could have been like external influences or material desires. Let's see. Doop, doop, doop. Six of Cups, this is something that you're very reminiscent about, or somebody is, right? Six of Cups is like kind of looking back. Almost longingly, like this is the energy of looking at past events or reminiscing, right? That's a word, reminiscing. Three of Swords in reverse. I feel like you could have gone through a breakup or some kind of emotional, like, severance. Right? If it's not a breakup, there was some kind of heartbreak or some kind of big disappointment, some kind of big setback. And I see a lot of reminiscing around this. We have Queen of Wands, right? Queen of Wands is the most attractive queen in the deck. Very influential, right? Going back to that fiery energy. She's very influential. Excellent leader, right? She leads with her heart, and you know, she's also kind of a warrior queen. She's a queen of fire. You know, you don't want to get burned by that torch, you know, but like when that fire is an energy of love, that warmth is unmatched, right? So whether this is you or the person you are dealing with, this is the energy I'm seeing in the reading. We have Five of Pentacles. There could be financial difficulties, right? And perhaps perhaps this came as a result of a relationship coming to an end or something of that matter. But this is the Five of Pentacles is also that feeling of being left out in the cold, right? This is kind of feeling isolated, unwanted. Maybe the person you were dealing with in the past is feeling this way, or vice versa. You know, I try not to assume who is whom in the story, right? So, yeah, we have Strength in reverse. Leo energy, strong Leo energy actually coming out. More fire energy, right? And it is Leo season, right? So there could be some significance in that. Maybe this is something that transpired during, you know, the beginning of Leo season or something. But yeah, with the Strength in reverse, this is like a weakness, right? This is like kryptonite. So perhaps you could have felt like this person or this situation was like a kryptonite. It was like weakness. Or vice versa. They could have felt that way about you. Like there's this energy of vulnerability. That's what's really coming to mind when I read that. Perhaps that's part of it. Maybe that's part of why it's so painful, because you feel like you allowed yourself to become so vulnerable, right? And that's not an easy thing, you know, when you allow yourself to become vulnerable and then you feel like that went to nothing, right? Or things ended badly and there was no, or you, there was no closure. That's what's coming to mind. But I hate the idea of closure, because the closure is that it ended, right? But that's maybe you're feeling, or somebody is feeling that they didn't get closure in this situation, that they allowed themselves to become vulnerable and they didn't get that proper closure. Perhaps they're viewing you as a weakness, right? They're viewing you as something that kind of pulled them from grace a little bit, right? And let's see. And I also feel called to tell you that, like, no relationship is wasted. Even if this was a karmic relationship, that wasn't meant to last forever. Even if this was something that was meant to just challenge you, it's not a waste. This is still a very successful connection, a very successful relationship or situationship, whatever. And the reason that it's successful is because it is pulling you back to your dharma, right? It is bringing you back to your true self and allowing you to remember that you've got to release the things that are not true for you or true to you, right? I feel that that's the hardest thing. You know, letting go of something that you still feel very much invested in. We have the Sun card, the other Leo card. So you could be a Leo, could be dealing with Leo. Leo season could be heavy. But with the Sun card, this is like everything's gonna be okay, right? That's what this is saying. This is saying that it's time for you to really get back in touch with your inner child, get back in touch with your inner creativity, right? Allow yourself to release through writing, through drawing, through painting, through some form of self-expression, right? You're being really called to that. We have the Six of Swords in reverse. Somebody is like really wanting to come back to something, right? And this goes back to what I was saying about being reminiscent, you know, whether this is you or the person you're dealing with, you know, it's like this, like wanting to go back to the start. And it reminds me of that one song that, The Night We Met, I think it's the Revivalists sing it. Look that song up because it's heavy what I'm feeling. That this is like kind of that energy of wanting to go back in time, and which you cannot. In the same way that when a planet goes retrograde, it appears to go backwards, right? But planets can never go backwards. It's an illusion, right? And the idea that you could go back to a person or a thing and it would ever be like it once was, that's an illusion, because that person has changed. You have changed. The circumstances have changed. We are rivers. We are not lakes, right? We don't stay in that same energy. And as our energies shift and as we change, as we evolve, we become different people. The circumstances become completely different. So you cannot ever go back, right? As much as there's that reminiscent, like, I wish I could go back to how things used to be. It's not possible. I'm getting a phone call, 1 second. Alright, then I'm back. Where was I? So, the world, right? This is things coming to a conclusion. This is the ending of a cycle, an ending of a chapter, right? And as the Bhagavad Gita says, every ending is really a beginning. Haha, surprise. So yeah, this is the completion of one thing and the beginning of something entirely new. We have Page of Cups in reverse. And I feel like this is kind of your advice to not reach out, right? If you are feeling like you want to reach out to a person of your past, or if you want to go back to a certain circumstance or thing, this is your sign to not, right? And I know that's hard. It's hard to hear that because you want to go back to that feeling, but there are new feelings. There are better feelings on the horizon for you with the Sun card, right? And this is kind of also like telling you that this is your closure. And closure is not a bad thing. Endings are not a bad thing. They are very natural. They're as natural as beginnings. And they can feel very traumatic on the soul. It's very necessary. The snake must shed its skin, you know, when it outgrows it. In the same way that a lobster must shed its shell. It has to go hide under a rock and be vulnerable for a while and feel like crap until the new shell grows, you know? And you're going through a spiritual molting process of releasing that which does not fit in your world anymore, you know? That which doesn't fit in your energy anymore. And this is actually a very beautiful thing, right? This is the funeral to your past. This is the end. This is the closure. And I know that can be hard to hear, especially when you're reminiscing, especially when you're reliving. But I really challenge you that when you get into those mindsets to think more on potential positives of your future, potential new directions, right? New ambitions, new experiences. Go have them. You know, like, don't be afraid to put yourself out in the world and experience something new. Okay. Yeah, like I said, there was definitely divine intervention. The shackles of the past are now off. You are free, right? With the Nine of Wands in reverse. You are free. It's funny, I hear somebody like dragging like something metal outside, and it almost has like that Ten of Wands vibe, like dragging the past. But that just felt like kind of confirmation on this, you know? There's no need to drag all that into the next chapter. We have Judgment. This is that divine intervention I was telling you about. This is judgment being called on your situation. This is, it could feel like defeat. I see like this woman, like she's cut open and bleeding, and then the dragon in front of her has like a sword in it, and it's also bleeding. And it's kind of like, it could feel like defeat, right? But this is also an ending, right? And tarot death and death symbolism really represents closure, things coming to an end, right? And that's really what I'm getting from this Judgment card, is that judgment needed to be called on your situation. Certain circumstances could not be, they couldn't continue, right? Perhaps this is divine protection also. That certain dynamics, certain narratives needed to come to a halt immediately. So this was a very fast ending. Yep, King of Swords, dude. Oh, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini energy. That's powerful. Alright, the imagery is fucking powerful. King of Swords is the King of Truth, right? This is the one that severs the ties. He uses that sword to cut ties, to bring an end to what needs to come to a halt, right? You can come off as cold, callous, discerning, right? This is somebody who fucking knows what's up, and somebody who, you know, and this is a very brave person who does the right thing, even when it's the hardest thing, right? This is somebody who honors their personal truth, regardless of any external influence, right? So somebody who, like, if you think of that quote, to thine own self be true, That is King of Swords. He is embodying that energy. That to thine own self be true. Everyone else, fuck them. Alright? Their opinions, their bullshit, fuck them. Because right now it is a time to honor yourself and to honor your dharma. That is the biggest message. And it's powerful. I mean, just this imagery is fucking powerful. You know? It's heavy. I feel like your soul is begging you for this. Right? To release the karmic conditions of the past. That's fucking deep, dog. Alright, let's see what Kali has to say about all this. And I mean, it's heavy if I'm being called out of my slumber to fucking come and tell you this, you know, that's a heavy fucking message. I wasn't gonna come out of retirement for anybody, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm passing the torch. Then the torch got passed right back to me. And maybe that's my dharma, alright? Maybe that's my dharma, that I must always come back to this. Because at the end of it all, always been a seer, right? We gotta honor our truths, you and I. I feel like if you have a divine mission, there ain't nobody on the material plane that can stop that. You're on it. You're going to do it. You know? And I think you're learning that now. Vishvamata. Although you may be in circumstances that you would prefer not to be in at this time, you are actually in a position of unrealized spiritual power. You will gain benefit from what is transpiring when the relevant learning and personal growth have been acknowledged and integrated. These circumstances will give way to a more favorable situation. Kali Kalmasa Nasini. It is time to free yourself from what has been. Learn from it, but not allow it to define you or direct the course of your life. Give up your stories about the past. You have outgrown them. Kali consumes mistakes, sins, and negativities. Let her free you now so that you can be open to the gift of your life unfolding. It's like literally what I just said. But it sounded better coming from her, to be honest. But yeah, this is what I have for you. I hope this was helpful. Namaste. I love you all. I wish you the best, and I look forward to reading the follow-up, seeing how that goes for you. Until then, I will see you when I see you.